All right, the live is loading. Let's see.
All right. All right. Welcome everybody to our 2020 Hacktober demo day. So the teams have been working really hard over the past weekend, starting Friday, working for a solution for IJF, which is Illinois Joining Forces. And I'm just going to play a little video of our intro, and then we'll go ahead and hear from Rod.
Platoon is an immersive coding bootcamp for veterans and military spouses. We are a nonprofit whose mission is to serve the students, not the organization. Platoon was something that came to me when I learned about the professional challenges the veteran community have transitioning out of their time in military service.
I started learning how to code using online classes and YouTube, but I knew back then that I needed a more structured program to help me hone my coding skills and to reach my goals. And I read some great reviews about Platoon on course reports, and I was delighted to also find out that this program was geared towards helping military veterans actually transition into jobs, civilian jobs within the tech industry.
If you go to college for computer science, you will learn a lot about the fundamentals surrounding designing software. If you attend a shorter course like Platoon's, we're still going to teach you those fundamentals in addition to how to use modern tools go out and start working immediately after graduation.
I would definitely recommend Platoon to any veteran looking to transition into the tech world, whether they're interested in working in DevOps, software development, QA. The program will give you the foundation that you need to be well prepared for those jobs. And I'm very grateful for all the resources that were made available to me, and in the process, it helped me secure a job in the midst of such tough economic times, and I cannot thank the program enough. Thank you.
All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Rod.
Thanks, Michael. And thanks everyone who has participated this weekend working on this really cool project. I can't wait to see what the final products look like. I want to do a couple introductions, but first I want to thank the sponsor companies who participated in this weekend, starting with the workshop leaders. We had folks from Apple, from Marqeta and TableXI, and our judges are coming from JP Morgan Chase, Hyde Park Venture Partners, Grainger, Cars.com, DRW, OCA Ventures, and Motorola Solutions. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of you who worked behind the scenes to make this hackathon such a success. In particular, I can't thank Michael enough for bringing his vision, energy, and direction to this project, and to Brenna, who demonstrated an impressive level of leadership and self-direction in organizing and hosting this first event ever for Platoon. So great job, the two of you. I'd like to now introduce our esteemed panel of judges. I'll start with Guy Turner. Guy co-founded Hyde Park Venture Partners in 2011 after time with Boston Consulting Group focused on corporate strategy across a variety of industries. Guy has led investments in numerous software companies and manages Hyde Park's investments in Upfront Healthcare, Zipnosis, Fixer, K4 Mobility, and others. In his early career, Guy was a mechanical engineer with Raytheon and GE and holds a BS in mechanical engineering from Cornell University, not too bad, and an MBA from Booth. I also have to agree, not a bad call. Welcome, Guy. Next, I'd like to introduce Chris Senkowitz. Chris is the director, mobile and front-end development at WW Grainger. He has worked as a user experience architect, designer, researcher, and developer. He focuses on the customer and customer happiness and satisfaction at Grainger. Fun fact, Chris is an RC enthusiast and glassblower. Next, I'd like to introduce Caitlyn Gardner. Caitlyn earned her BS in Informatics and Computing and Business from Indiana University. She holds a master's in Intellectual Property and Markets from Chicago-Kent College of Law, Illinois IIT. Caitlyn joined JP Morgan Chase in 2015 as part of the software engineering program based in Chicago, and she currently works on the intellectual property strategy as part of the global technology and strategy and partnerships team. Renee, I'm going to screw this up because I always do.
Yep.
Duquesnoy.
No, not close.
Yeah, you want to tell me?
Duquesnoy.
Duquesnoy, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, if we're in France, maybe it'd be Duquesnoy.
Bonjour.
We'll do it your way. He works at DRW Holdings. He's been coding professionally for over 20 years, first as a consultant and now with DRW. Renee is also a Master Sergeant in the Air National Guard stationed in Peoria. Fun fact, he spends most of his days arguing with his 4-year-old Anna that Anna is a better queen than Elsa. Apparently, this is a hot topic. We probably will not address it today in these somewhat uncertain times. Next, I'd like to introduce Fred Lee. Fred works as a CTO of Cars.com, where he manages a lot of people who put their cars on websites. He holds a BS in Industrial Engineering from Purdue and holds a JD from Loyola University Chicago School of Law. Next, Mike Ferrari. Mike works at Motorola Solutions and was a network engineer. He then became a systems developer, and he eventually found his way to cybersecurity, where he's been involved for 15 plus years. He has an art degree with a concentration in sculptures, his fun fact. And last, but certainly not least, Jim Dugan. Jim is CEO and managing partner at OCA Ventures. He graduated from the University of Rochester, where my wife graduated and my son attends, where he studied economics and history. Jim went to get his master's at Kellogg, and he is a Chicago-based venture capitalist helping entrepreneurs build great companies in the Midwest and beyond. In his spare time, you can find Jim playing a game of Texas Hold'em, a round of golf, or in the kitchen on Sundays cooking carbonara with his family.
What I'm doing right now.
I'll tell you what, do not play Texas Hold'em with Jim Dugan, a virtual certain loss. I'd also want to take this moment to thank IJF for working so closely and energetically with the Hacktober team. We as Code Platoon have worked with IGF for many years and are very proud of the partnership we have formed with you. So thank you. And now I'd like to pass the mic on to General Curta. Thanks, Steve, for joining us.
And right before we have General Curta, we just want to play the video that we have for them. 1 second.
They come from towns like Mason and Buckley, neighborhoods like Morgan Park, Tally's Corner, and Noble Square, communities like Crystal Lake, Kankakee, and Mound Station. They spend years in faraway places, Iraq, Afghanistan. Decades earlier, others spent time in Vietnam, Normandy, Midway Island. Young men and women poised at a vibrant moment in their lives make a courageous decision to join the United States Armed Forces. And when they return home after years of military service, some of these Marines, these soldiers and sailors are confronted with a daunting new set of challenges. Joblessness, financial literacy, homelessness, education, poverty, and health issues. They often find the safety net they created for our country and the world is not there for them when they need it most. Our heroes need a hero. In Illinois, the real challenge is connecting our 722,000 veterans with the state's 500 service providers. Meet Illinois Joining Forces, a powerful organization that connects veterans and their families with critical services in Illinois. Our dedicated staff works directly with veterans to track their cases, then connects them to the appropriate provider and ensures services are delivered. We provide a call center and website to strengthen our reach and access, and we are just getting started. Illinois Joining Forces is creating a far-reaching model that will provide our veterans and families with the kinds of services they need wherever they live. We are going to provide 100% statewide coverage, from small towns in southern Illinois to the Farm Belt to the neighborhoods of Chicago. We'll link veterans and their families to critical resources in education, legal support, job training, homelessness, and housing, creating a responsive, holistic approach to services. We can't do this alone. This is a critical mission that can't fail. Corporations, foundations, and individuals are joining our force, with more reporting for duty every day. If you believe our service people deserve our gratitude, deserve a force of support to protect their lives and their families' future, join us. Support Illinois Joining Forces.
Okay, well, thanks, Michael. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. Again, I'd like to thank Code Platoon for inviting me to this great event, Oktoberfest. And thank you for showing that video because it saved me from what I was about to say. So what I'll do is I'll just take maybe 30 seconds or so and say first, hello and thank you. Because I think it was last year, right around this time frame was when I first saw you guys at your fundraiser. I enjoyed meeting some of you. I recognize a lot of you on the screen. So glad to see you all again. Hopefully soon again, we'll do it in person like we did last year. And as Rod and Michael mentioned, good news is that we continue to form a great partnership between Code Platoon and Illinois Joining Forces. And this Hacktoberfest, excuse me, it's a little mouthful, is a great example of how we've been partnering for years and we continue to partner. And because organizations like the Code Platoon and Illinois Joining Forces, we are making a difference in our veterans and their families' lives. So I've been a huge fan of Code Platoon for years because of what you all been able to do, supporting our veterans and military spouses, transitioning into civilian workforce, whenever you guys provide that technical training and career placement, which I thought it was always was the first rate. And as even the video mentioned, IJF, our goal really is to partner with great organizations like Code Platoon and others so that we can support our military men and women and veterans and families in more of a holistic manner. So thank you for continuing to partner with us. And thank you for continuing to focus on supporting our veterans and their families. So God bless all of you. And again, thanks for allowing us to partner. I'll turn it over to you, Michael.
Thank you, General. We appreciate the words. All right, so our next speaker is going to be no stranger to Code Platoon. It is none other than Alicia Body.
Thank you, Michael, and congratulations on a wonderful weekend. This is really exciting for all of us at Code Platoon and with our partnership with IJF. As General Kurta mentioned, he was our keynote speaker at Celebrate Code Platoon 2019, and I'm here to give a quick plug for Celebrate Code Platoon 2020. We are 10 days away from our virtual fundraising event. If you go to our website homepage, codeplatoon.org, you'll see more information on how to register for your free ticket for this event. It will be held Wednesday, October 28th at 12 o'clock noon Central Time. So we're hoping you can join us on your lunch break from work and celebrate the wonderful year that we've had in 2020 and looking forward to 2021. We'll also be following up after this with a link to register as well. So we hope you can join us for that great event. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Alicia. All right, so I'm gonna do a little introduction to our teams and then we will have them go in that order. Our first team who is going to present is going to be Team Sharp. Disclaimer, I did not write these bios. These are the words of the teams. All right. So our first team, Team Sharp, is a group of undergrad and grad students from different tech backgrounds. They bring diverse visions, create creative solutions, and sharp concepts. All right, Team Sharp, take it away.
Hi, so my name is Chintan Patel, and I'm one of the developers who worked on the project for IGF, and we will be presenting here today. And so basically, what we did is that we created we had a front end which was made using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then we created REST API that basically connected to the front end, and basically we use basically what I will be talking about. We'll be talking about REST API, and then my other team will be talking about what they did in this hackathon. So what I worked on on the REST API was a Jersey web framework. So basically Jersey is a framework that allows you to build like a REST API in Java using Java, and then what we did is that what I did was that um, we used Google geocoding API to basically get a specific coordinates from, so if a user, let's say on a front end, types the location and their own location, then we can use this geocoding API to get the coordinates. And this coordinate is basically like the latitudes and longitudes of the user location. And then we can compare that location to the other location that services providers has provided to us. So basically, like let's say a service provider has like, there are multiple service providers, right? And if the user say 10 miles, then we will compare this location using the latitude and longitudes, which is provided using the geo coding API, which is from Google, and then can compare this from the other servicers addresses, and then compare those, and then basically give them all the servicers that are located in that range. And then for the REST API, what we used was a data transfer object model. So it's a design pattern that basically we separated the dependency between business model and the request and responses that we are giving to the front end. So that's it's better for design. And we also use the Mapstruct and Lombok. So Mapstruct and Lombok is another library that you can use to like eliminate boilerplate, because like if you use data transfer object, you get a lot of redundant code, and there are a lot of like redundant code that you can get because of the data transfer object model. And that's why we use Mapstruct and Lombok that helps us eliminate those boilerplate code. And we use Tomcat server to connect our REST API. And so basically we had GET request to get all the services that are located for the user on the front end, and it will be sent to all the locations.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you're trying to share your screen to show us the demo, we can't see it.
Yeah, so the problem was that we weren't able to like finish up the whole like structure, and we actually have a video on what we were trying to do, and we will explain on what went wrong in the later in the section.
Okay.
But yeah, so we will be showing you videos after we present what we did and what went wrong at the end, and then we will show the video. Okay. So that was basically from the REST API for us, and then my other team will talk more about it. So I'm gonna give it to Sarah, and she will talk about what she did, and then Dylan will talk about it.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah, and I was the designer on the team. I created mockups for my colleagues using Adobe XD. I designed 3 pages, 2 login pages, one for the CCC staff and one for the service providers, so they can access it and edit their information. And another page that I created was the page for the veteran, where they could easily access their information and what kind of, and they could filter out based on their zip code and what they're looking for, and what other offers they offer. And that's pretty much it when it came to the design. And I gave my colleagues a few images and screenshots of how the website is supposed to function, and that's what the video is going to be about.
All right.
Yeah, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so for the form, like we converted the Google Forms into JavaScript using React and PHP for the backend, and we used let me see. We used document get element by ID function to connect the forms answers to the backend of API, and that's what we did. What we did with the forms. I think Arma is also joining us. He'll be here in. Okay, he's here. So he'll be explaining how we did the front end.
Hi everyone, sorry about that.
So I think there might be an audio issue with him. We don't know what's going on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Now we can.
Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen to show what we have on the front end so far. Okay. On top here we have the navigation bar, and I just made one for the web application, and the other one would redirect the user to the IGF website. And then here is the search bar for the location. So let's say the user starts by typing Chicago or their address, they're gonna have auto completion featured. Once they enter, the map is gonna zoom in to their location, and then they can pick one of the categories and pick the mile radius to find the reach-less providers. When the user clicks apply, we're hoping to have results show on the bottom of the page here in this table. I did an example with dummy data, but unfortunately we couldn't get the connectivity between this part of the project and Chintan's API part to work. But if it were to work, it would be the resource providers being listed here in the bottom with the information. And we would have sorted it by the closest to the user's location.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So if we were able to like finish the project, the problem that we had with the project was maybe like we were thinking that if we were like in person, then it would have been better. Like we would have made much better progress because we would have been able to like communicate properly. But because of COVID going on, it was like difficult, on everyone's side to like communicate properly. So there might have been, like the progress, like not being able to communicate properly. And then a lot of the thing was that we were trying to focus on something, and we basically spend so much time on like doing everything but not like testing. So that basically took a lot of time like fixing the errors, and that basically like we weren't able to like they connect REST API with the front end. But we will be showing you a video right now, and what exactly it would have. It's a 1 minute video of what we were trying to do. So I'm gonna share the screen and you guys can see the video.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing that with us. We do appreciate your time and volunteering as well. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and go to the next team. And that next team is going to be 10K IQ. 10K, we are a group of 6 CS undergrads from Chicago. For many of us, this is our first hackathon and are excited to see what we can learn from this experience. 10K, take it away.
Hey guys, my name is Shuk. I'm with 10K IQ. So for this hackathon, we decided to build a mobile app, which I am about to share with you guys today. Our front end was designed using React Native and interfaced with Expo, and we connected it to a backend, sort of backend, using Firebase. And I'm about to show you guys what it looks like. You guys see it?
Not yet.
Yeah, good.
No.
It's not working?
Nope.
How about now?
Yep, there we go.
Perfect. Also, stop messaging me, by the way, because they'll see it. All right, so this is our homepage for Illinois Joining Forces. And then basically we could just, this is all of the data from the Google Forms that you guys had. And so as you could see, you could select all of the statuses that apply to you, etc. And then you could also search for the kind of service that you're looking for. So here we could select education, maybe this, maybe this. Doesn't really matter because unfortunately, when we got to our database, it didn't really work. So these are just our placeholder organizations. So, but the idea is that once you put in the details, you could find the organization that you're looking for, and then it'll just send you over to them. Now, unfortunately, as I said, we found out early this morning that the way we wanted to search the database query, it wasn't, we couldn't get it to work because of the way that Firebase sets up the database. So unfortunately, we couldn't get that working as well as we'd like. Given more time, we would definitely want to improve that. And we also had an idea to obviously show more information within the app itself instead of just sending you over to them. But unfortunately, we didn't have the time to do that either. Now I'm going to pass it on to Ka Tam, who was the lead designer on the front end, and he could talk about what he did. Ka?
Yes. Let's see. So we decided to use React Native because it's kind of a cross-platform. Oh, yes. So we decided to use React Native because it's cross-platform. It supports both iOS and Android. And I am seeing that it also supporting web app as well in the future. So it's a really versatile solution for different type of people with different connectivity. Some have a computer, some have a smartphone. So this way we will have a simple app. It's not meant to be complicated because we want the search to be as simple as possible. So we use checkboxes instead of entering numbers, and we choose the fields that are easily categorized instead of those that's more complicated, like ranges and like others, where you enter your custom solution, custom answer onto the field. We decided to omit those because it's that's just easier to categorize. We think that our design uses each individual screen in sequence order. This way, it's easier for them to understand and enter information. Yeah, I think given more time, we would definitely have done better. This morning, we just realized Firebase doesn't support arrays, so whatever we input, it just dump a lot of objects back. So we have the information. The thing is, we don't know the name of the organization, and we cannot adjust it with index because it doesn't support arrays. So it's really unfortunate. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. Awesome job, 10K. Our next team is going to be Lima Fox. So Lima Fox is a small team of Platoon graduates who have a good bit of age, a little less beauty, and of course, a solution to your tech problems. All right, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Staff at IGF, the judges, Code Platoon, and everybody else in attendance. We are Team Lima Fox, and IGF had a problem, and it was they need a way to organize all their data and access it in an easy fashion where it doesn't expire. And it's easy to search because Google Forms suck. So, so we took that problem statement that they had and all of their must-haves. We kind of came up with three big targets to kind of help out. One, the database had to be robust to keep data on organizations and users. Two, we needed that to be a single source of information that allows the staff to retrieve the provider's data to quickly respond to calls. And three, behind the scenes email messaging to prompt users, users being at the organizations to update their information with IJF. So they always have good information to give to veterans in a quick manner. The POC it's designed for the POC of the organization to log in themselves and give updates with the IJF verifying that data. It was an interesting weekend. And what I'm going to do is pass it on to Julian, who will talk about the technologies.
Hi, we kept the stack simple, utilizing Django for both the back and front end, utilizing Django templates with Bootstrap. We use Postgres for the database, Redis and Redis Q for automated messaging, and Nginx for the gateway server. All these technologies were composed in a Docker container for standardized development and easy portable deployment. And now here's Chris for a demonstration.
Oh, all right. Let me get my screen shared. I have a couple monitors, so give me a second. Can you see that?
Yes.
It is not highlighting what screen I am sharing. Do you see a console and a mouse moving?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we started this project out. I'm a backend developer at heart, right? So we really started this out, and we wanted to solve IJF's problem, which really the starting point of the funnel is where they get their information from the Google form. The Google Forms don't solve all of those problems, right? So we really wanted to build the backend in a way that would work. And we concentrated a little less on the front end at the start. So we spent a good day and a half, maybe, really getting the infrastructure down. We wanted it to be really good infrastructure and a way to deploy it if it came to that. And also get the automated emailing working. So what you see right now is a main page where someone a partner that has an account can log in, and a partner that needs to sign up can sign up, and then IGF can vet that point of contact, and once they vet that point of contact, their organization information will get vetted, and they can use them later within the app. So I'm just going to go ahead and get logged in. Oh, I need the password. So when you first get logged in as a point of contact, I'm logged in as an admin, just to save time. And I've added 2 organizations, right? Department of Veteran Affairs and Salvation Army. Because we focus so much on the back end and less on the front end to tie everything together, we didn't really make it to update and delete. So this functionality doesn't specifically work. But I can go into the Django admin backend, which is basically like, if you're an admin, it's like God mode, which is kind of where IJF staff would start to create accounts from. Point of contacts wouldn't have that functionality, but I can go ahead and get over in here to show a little more about the backend, because that's where we did spend a lot of our time. And actually, I should probably show you the forms first, and I don't have a link. So we had created an organization form, right? So it is basically the Google form equivalent. It's a Django form, and it's an equivalent form of the Google form, so that an organization can fill out all of its information, select all the check boxes, hours of information. They can check all of the things that apply to them. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to clean it up into like a paginated form or a multi-step form for submission. We wanted to prototype things out as fast as we could once we got to the front end portion. So all of that information is in here. It can all be selected, and then a partner can go ahead and click that. Once they have all the valid information, click and create that, and then IGF staff will be able to go into their interface and vet that organization, and then they can become, a resource partner. And I went ahead and did that for the admin section, because for these 2, so I've already input those 2, and the God mode account shows kind of that. A super admin of our app can he has all the powers. He could actually go in and help resource partners update all of that. IJF staff would not have this account. They would have a similar interface, but it would not be this interface, because this is strictly for super users. But because that was one of IJF's desire, I think it was a desire to have, or possibly a must-have for one of their problems, is they wanted 3 separate user accounts. That's one thing that we wanted to solve. And yeah, I think I'll stop beating that to death, and I'm going to go back out. And I can't really show you in the console because I ran this earlier, but down here you see queues, and it's called Django RQ. That's because we used a package called Redis Queue, and it's basically a job scheduler. And I think this is probably my most favorite part of doing this hackathon is I never got to have, I never had the interaction with Redis Queue like I did during this hackathon. So I had so much fun doing this, even though I had to make some of the team wait a little bit while we worked through all the problems with that. That's why it took a day and a half. But this was probably the funnest part. Myself and Kobe, another teammate of ours, it's a job scheduling queue. This is for the emails. Basically, when you register an organization, it schedules a queue for an email so that an organization knows that they're going to get notified every 6 months or 12 months, and in intervals, they're going to get an email for that specific organization they created, and it's going to say, hey, it's that time. Make sure you log in and make sure your information's up to date. And, it's just going to be on an interval. And this kind of takes care of all of that. So with all that being said, let me step back a little bit and kind of talk about a few items that I can't really demo on the front end. And they are our stack, which we're using. Again, I'm a backend developer at heart, so containerization was a thing that we wanted to do because it makes deployments so much easier. It makes working with teams for developers so much easier for us. I work on a Windows machine. If you can't tell from the background, this is all Windows UI. Most of my team's on Mac, but using Docker containerization, we were able to just all start from the same environment. So it doesn't really matter what platform you're on. That was a win. Learning the Docker commands, there's a little curve to it, but we got through it. It's not too hard once you get used to it. And then deploying from Docker is even better because there's so much support like Heroku and AWS and things like that. So that's what we focused on the most. And, we thought it was more beneficial to have a very solid starting point for infrastructure and making sure the backend database, the models and everything could handle the data that we did want to send it before we started tying things up in the front end and running validation and cleaning and all that stuff. We want to make sure that the models could handle all that. And I probably missed something I really wanted to say, but I want to say this hackathon was really fun. I really enjoyed the Redis stuff and working with this team again. Saw a lot of these guys are from my platoon, and yeah, if I missed anything, you guys should step in and say something. I didn't write a script. I'm just winging this thing. So I'm going to end on that and let Carol take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you so much. I think this was such a fun project to work on this weekend. I worked both on the front end and the back end as well. Now that we have the database all working and well structured, we're able to gather all the key information that we need from the service providers, which is nice. Time permitting, I think we would love to implement a few stretch goals. So the first feature that we would like to build upon would be the functionality for the staff to be able to basically query and display the data, with greater visuals, I think. That would be a plus for the dashboard. Secondly, we would love to basically have Google Maps integrated with a search feature. So that's another feature that I would like to have. And I think having a keyword feature, keyword search feature as well would make it the dashboard more user-friendly. And lastly, I think my team and I were talking about adding a feature for tracking the instances of the veterans, actually the contacts, and also with the services, the support services that were provided at the same time. So we think that these are, stretch goals that could be immediately implemented with what we have so far, with the database being robust and working. So that's all I have, and that includes our presentation for today. If you have any questions, let us know.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, and great job. All righty. So our next team is going to be the Tenacious Trio. We are 2 co-platoon graduates and a longtime supporter. That's it. Take it away.
All right. Thank you. So as you mentioned, we were a team of 3 people. Brian Willard, who is a 30-year programmer and a longtime co-platoon supporter. Stephen Smith, who was a co-platoon or kilo platoon cohort graduate and a 10-year combat medic Army veteran. And myself, I've been coding for about 6 months now, and I was a Juliet platoon graduate and a 10-year military veteran. So start off, we created our app with a bootstrap front end and a Firebase back end and a Firebase database or Firestore database. Our app will allow partners to add themselves and their information into the IGF database for visitors to find out information about their services that are being offered. With filtering, we have allowed the user to search by specific services provided as well as by distance from the current user's location. To make things even a little bit easier, we have implemented a Google Maps API for the user to be able to see in the map view where the vendor is located. If the user is logged in, we have also given them the ability to leave a review of the vendor that they have had the pleasure of doing service with. We use 3 relational tables, partners, reviews, and admin users. And lastly, for version control, we use Git and GitHub with the use of pull requests in order to make sure that we weren't stepping on each other's toes. So enough from me. You're here to see the app, not to listen to me. So without further ado, here is Brian Willard to give you your first peek into our application. Brian, take it away.
Howdy, thanks. So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is kind of the landing page. It allows you to search for providers. So we're starting off logged out. So let's say we wanted to find somebody that could help me code. We'd search for it. We could get the contact information. For Code Platoon, it brings it up. If we want to see it, we can. So that's, the basic functionality. But let's say we wanted to get somebody that can help us kind of calm down after a long hackathon and do some yoga and mindful meditation. So we can query on what kind of services the different providers offer. You can see you get a list. Some of these are kind of far away there. They're in Frankfurt, right? I live in the northern suburbs. I don't want to drive down to Frankfurt. So let's try to just find something, mildly close to me. So we can add in a location query as well and search for them. And hopefully, maybe, there we go. It brings up just providers within the specified radius. We'd kind of reimagine things so that veterans could access this portal on their own. Although we wanted to build it in such a way that the IJF call center could still do it. And so instead of using your current location, which is fetched from your browser, you can specify a specific location instead. So if you're on the phone with somebody, you can put in their location instead of where you are. So again, that's why we're logged out. If you log in, you can get an extra set of functionality. So I'll switch into a logged in browser. You can see we implemented login via Google. So I'll go over to my logged in account. And so here, let's say I needed some legal assistance. I could go, let's find legal assistance, search for legal assistance, do a query, and you can see now I get this button to be able to leave a review of an organization, which we think will help out veterans a lot. So David, you want to talk about that?
There we go. So basically, we wanted to be able to have the user be able to leave a review. And in this specific case, we're leaving a review for the Veterans Assistance Commission in Iroquois County. And by allowing the vet to leave reviews on the partner organizations, we hope to allow them to find the best organizations for their needs. And saves the information into the database. And now we're going to talk about a bunch of features that are available to vets and IGF personnel. And Stephen, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, and I want to call out, once you leave a review, it pops it up. So you can see the aggregate reviews from everybody.
All right, so all right, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
A little bit. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, this connection is not gonna make it. All right. So.
All right.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Stephen, he's mobile right now. So, but let's talk a little bit about the user journey for a partner organization. We're not going to fill this form out and let you see how bad that Brian is at typing, but we're going to do a quick search for horse.
Previously added a equine. There's no horse providers that provide legal support. But if we do horses without legal support, we will hopefully get the new organization I added.
Horse therapy. And as you can see, because he is the owner of the organization, he can also edit it. But it would also be nice if the organization were prompted to update its information regularly. So we built an engine that would email each of the organizations in the database 4 times a year if their info gets out of date. And we'll show you what email they would receive.
Yep.
So this prompts them to go to edit the details page and update information so the vets get the best care possible. And to finalize things, I'm going to send it back to Brian.
Yeah, so now to talk about some of the behind the scenes stuff. So I don't know if you noticed, but when you search for a provider, we hide the contact information and you need to click it. And so behind the scenes, we're logging every interaction a user has with an organization, and that gets stored in a Firebase table, and then we have Firebase functions that receive that and can take actions on it. And so we know that IJF wanted to integrate with CRM platforms. We didn't integrate with any specific one because I think that they're all very specific, but we put the framework there so that if you wanted to then transfer these website interactions over to our CRM system, it would be trivial to do so. And then lastly, in the IGF set of requirements, they mentioned that accessibility was important, as it is for every website. And so we went through pains to make sure that the tab order for everything worked correctly. It was navigatable via just keyboards. You can see we did pretty well with the accessibility score. The only thing we're getting dinged for is the contrast on these buttons is not quite high enough. So let's see. The other interesting thing that on the technology side is to do the geo searches. We used geohashes, which is a pretty cool technology that converts lat longs into an individual string that you can query over to kind of get around some of the Firebase constraints about being able to only do greater than and less length queries on one dimension, which I think might have been one of the things that tripped the 10K group up. That was it's a pretty neat library and a pretty neat piece of technology. And then lastly, that we're deployed on Firebase, and so as you can see, this is running on the web now. Anybody can go to it, and it should scale fairly infinitely with traffic and load. So yeah, had a great time, and if you have any questions, let us know.
Did that map function? Did we show them the map function?
So we added the ability to integrate and see provider locations via Google Maps. I forgot about that. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you all. Okay. So great job. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next team, which is going to be Bitlords. Bitlords is an enthusiastic group of people who are happy to help, having expertise in robust and efficient software development. All right, Bitlords, take it away.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let me share my screen and just walk you through what we have been working up to. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Yeah. So this is how our architecture looks like. So we have this three kind of flow which we will be walking through throughout the presentation. First one is the organization. So let's say organization can add or edit its corresponding data. This is analogous to what we are capturing on Google Forms today. And organization has a privilege to create a user and add the data onto our DB. So let's see how it looks like. So this is our website, and anyone can register onto this website. So let's go through the sign up page. So this is essentially an independent organization, which I'm registering. Okay, so you will be landing on this page where organization can fill in its corresponding details. So everything is built by us. We are not using any kind of framework here. This is purely using React.js and the Python in our backend. So for the organization detail, let's put some values. So as we can see, we have put in some validation into this form itself. So it's quite friendly for user to put in the right data. If at all the wrong data is entered, the error message will show up like this. So I have to put in a relevant data here. So as you can see, as I entered the zip code, the state and city gets automatically populated. We have similar kind of validation for websites too, where I have to put a real website. And same thing goes true for email as well. So This is not a mandatory field, so you can skip it, and so on. So this is more like the Google form data, which we replicated in our own way, so that it's easy for us to capture the structured data, which we can use it for our later sessions. Okay. Yeah. So this is where the organization puts the service it likes to offer, and this is again similar to the things which we saw. You can add the tags here. So these tags are basically more like a algorithm where when you search anything about the organization, these tags will be used to match up the relevancy of the service you are providing, and this tag is useful. So let's say since I'm using something called family, I can put some tags like fam or something like that. So whenever some relevant searches with respect to this is put in as a query by the mediator, then this particular organization will get picked. And these are all similar fields. I won't be going through all the form now, but this pretty much sums up what we have as a part of Google form right now, and we are translating it in our own website. So let's go to the organization where we have filled the data already. So from organization point of view, this is how our data will look like. So going back to the diagram, so now organization has filled the data into the DB, and now it can access what data it has filled. Here we are providing the option to edit anything. So let's say, for instance, I want to support the other military service details too. So I can add them, and I can just basically go through and submit the details, and the same details will be updated in our database. So the next time I go in there, my details are updated. So this is pretty much from the organization point of view. And now let's go to the mediator part. So this is the role of mediator. Mediator sits between the database and the client, or the veteran in this case, who is trying to get some service. So mediator has two specific roles. It can update the records on behalf of the organization which are already present with us with this DB in our database, and it can also search queries which are asked by our client and return back the and give back the appropriate feedback in terms of the queries the client is asking us. So let's see how it looks like. So now I'm logging in as a mediator. So this is a mediator page. As you might notice that we have two functionalities, each resembling the arrow which we see here. This one is to edit the record. Here I can put in my organization email. And this gives me the privilege to edit this information for any organization which I'm putting the data basically. And if I go back to my home, and so this is the second flow where we are answering the queries asked by the veterans and helping them as needed. So let's go through a dummy flow. So in order to start querying the database, we need to enter the zip code of our client. So let's assume it's 60602, which is Chicago's zip code. And then you have to input which category we need the help in. So let's say I pick these two categories and some kind of a relevant search query, like let's say legal. And as I hit continue, I will get all the data, all the organization which essentially are satisfying this search criteria, which are sorted based on the distance radius. So there is a slider here which we can use to configure our distance. So let's keep the distance radius as, let's say, 15 miles. And if I hit continue, all the organization which are essentially showed up here should be within the range of 15 miles. As we can see, this is the last organization we have is 12 miles away from us. I can also configure this, and the data will get updated. So now currently radius is 31 miles and the last organization we see here is 28 miles away from the entered zip code. Secondly, this all data is from the Excel sheet which was given to us. So essentially we have passed the data sheet. We have pre-processed. On top of it, we have added NLP so that this search queries get handled and we get the relevant results. So there are some kind of additional filters which we also added. So we can search for a status which says, okay, so I want to serve someone whose status is veteran. And if I hit continue, this status will get updated. Only the queries with this particular status will show up. And if let's say, if I clear this filter for now, yeah. So now we are seeing all the types of service criteria here. So for example, these things, and if I go ahead and add a filter on top of it, this particular organization which supports other things should not show up. So as you can see, all the statuses are veteran. So this is pretty much what a mediator can do. Now going back to our flow, we also have an admin which can add someone as a mediator, and it can also do the similar things which a typical mediator can do. We can just quickly look how admin page looks like. So as we can see, we have three set of use cases which admin have access to. It can use the help veteran field, which is the same which we just saw. Second one is edit record, where he can edit the organization detail or put in the new organization. And lastly, we have this add admin kind of field where I can choose to promote any user to the admin. So let's promote the user which you just created to admin. So as we can see, this is our MongoDB database, and this user here is currently not an admin. It's a normal organization users. So an admin can choose to promote this user to an admin. And if we go here, refresh this data. Now this user is of type admin. So this pretty much sums up what we are trying to achieve as our project. And lastly, we have this script which will generate the email for the organization which has been last updated prior to 6 months. So let me quickly put back the date for some organization, let's say 6 months before. So for this organization, it was last updated today, right now. So let me put this something from past, it's like January. And so this is our mail system which sends out the email for the organization which was updated like 6 months prior. So we'll get email something like this, which says, as you can see, this is the email which you just received, which says you need to update the organization information which we have just put in our database.
So this mail system is entirely automated. It's just that in order to show how it works, we have generated this click function where we can just present how the system is working right now. The mail system, of course, works every 24 hours. It checks for all the systems which are, all the entries which are 6 months older, and the updated mail is automatically sent.
Yeah, and lastly, we have saved the data from the Excel sheet which is provided to us in this type of structure where we are processing it and adding some kind of a process data like lemma words. So these are basically the words which which is leveraged by the search query, which we just show. It uses this lemma word to appropriately match the most relevant organization based on our query details, and it will use these details to show up the relevant organizations which Mediator can use to provide the help with. So that's pretty much it from our side. It's also responsive. Let me just quickly show you. Yeah, so if I choose something like, let's say, iPad. Yeah. So the website is pretty responsive in other mediums too. So that's all from our side. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all. Great job. All right. So our final team, last but not least, Squad of Squids. This team is a Squad of Squids, is a 4-member team consisting of 3 veterans and 1 college senior. Driven by their passion for technology, they are able to collaborate and utilize their diverse backgrounds and technical experience to create a great end product. All right, it's all yours.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So like Michael just said, we are a group of 4 and we all had varying levels of technical skills and abilities. So our priority for this project was first and foremost to make it functional. So we tried to prioritize that rather than adding all the bells and whistles and making it look good. So we wanted a way basically for IGF to be able to quickly find organizations that their patrons are going to use, and then also a way for different organizations that serve active duty service members, veterans, and their families to add themselves and connect with IJF's growing network. So we built our project with the front end using React, and then we built our back end using Python with Django. And I'm now going to pass it over to our team leader, Ethan, to start going over our project.
All right, thank you, Justin. So we actually, because of our varying levels of skill, we have a fairly functional front end, but getting our back end completed and integrated with it was, we didn't get totally complete with that. So I'm going to first show you what our front end looks like. Right here we have basically just a fairly simple home page, and you scroll down, and if you want to join, you fill in information here. Let's fill in fill in some information. And there we go. And then and then once you've actually registered the organization, it will pull up a page that allows you to fill in the information about what types of services the organization could provide, standard checkboxes, and you can check and uncheck and all of these information. Unfortunately, since we focused on that first, we were not able to totally complete our database. We were able to complete our database to the point where we can actually add records manually using Postman and basically just directly adding it, but we weren't able to integrate that into our front end. So let's show right here. This query will actually pull up a list of all the organizations we made, but then if we wanted to make another organization, we could make it by manually putting in all of this information. You pass it in and it should work, but that's where we left off. We weren't able to totally get it working 100%. So yeah, that's the product that we were able to do. I think the biggest challenges for us were just the differing backgrounds that the only commonality that we had is that 3 of us were are veterans. Beyond that, none of us had met before or had any specific shared common experience. So developing those communication skills, having the common language to be able to communicate effectively, that was our biggest challenge. And so that's our presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. All right, so that was our last team's presentation. At this time, we do have an array of judges, and I would like to open the floor for any comments before we release them to go to their breakout rooms, which Brenna will take care of. But first, if you all would like to say anything, any thoughts that you would like to share before your deliberations.
I just want to thank everybody for their hard work. It was a good job by all the teams.
Yeah, this is Jim. I want to echo Chris's remark, and that last team, by the way, appreciate that forthright, kind of authenticity there of the varying backgrounds and some of the limiting technical factors. But even more broadly, I just thought you all came really thinking about product market fit, what IGF was seeking, and you pushed yourselves. And it's not easy in this kind of forum, but I just think you really went after it, and that's great, very encouraging. And I thought it was well done. Thank you.
Yeah,
This
same.
is Caitlyn. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, same observations here. A lot accomplished in a short time. Nice work.
Yeah, and I echo everyone else's thoughts so far. Really great job across the board with all of the teams. Really focused on the different user experience, and I thought that came across in many of the different presentations. And just a great job, impressive work in such a short period of time in turning this around. So really excellent to all the teams out there.
Yeah, I saw the creativity is pretty good for just jumping in and moving forward, right? So there's a lot of good creativity, a lot of good approach. This is a pretty good job.
All right. All right, I think that is all of the judges that wanted to say anything. Going once, going twice. All right. So everyone who is here inside of the Zoom, you can go ahead and stick around. What we're going to do is we're going to place the judges into their own breakout room, allow them to do the scoring. And then once we have the scores and all the teams tally up, we'll come back to this Zoom. And for those of you who are viewing us on social, just look out for Code Platoon going live again. All right, thank you. Okay, so looks like the judges are getting placed in their rooms now.